Right, we are live. So, welcome back to another Beard Invades. This week it's another pre-URL. As you can see, I've got my Yule tree up. I have got one of them things on top of it, but I have no control over that. And I'm in the house because it's nice and warm. So, this week, that's helped me out last minute is Dai from Making a Better Life. How you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, Rich. I'm not bad.
Excellent.
But I'm all right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for jumping in and helping me out last minute. There nearly wasn't one this week, and we've been talking about this for a while, but you've been busy, and so yeah. So now there's no escaping.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into the invasion, let's just have a little look who's in the chat. I know you can't see who's in the chat, Dai, so I'll just shout them out. So we got Mike Yu, Tim's How to Make, Billy Burt, Tommy's Workshop, Maple Tree Studios, TJ Turning, John S, Wood Wizardry by Colin, AH is for Turning. Oh, okay. Barry Wood Creations, John N, The Klondike Craftsman, Doug Miller, Andy Bespoke, Andy AH Bespoke, I should say. Colin Izzard, Circular Wood by Keith, Steve Coombs, The Blue Light Turner, Rob CP, Michael, who's that? Oh, Lindsay Gardner, Michael Apper, I can't even, Azapardi, Paul Lockwood. There's quite a few. Barry, Rubber Dub, and Robert Dolman. Right, that's who's in at the moment.
Great.
So,
Them names.
Hello, cool. Yes, welcome. So, you know how this goes. You've seen a few of these invasions. We'll just take it nice and steady. Guys, in the chat, if there's any questions that you want to ask Dai, pop them in the chat with a capital Q, a couple of capital Qs, so I can see the questions, and I'll do my best to put them to Dai. Okay, right then. So what do you do outside of YouTube? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, currently I'm the director of an informal organisation called Making a Better Life, and it started in 2006 when I was in a bad place, unemployed, and there was nothing for me at the time, and so I started developing this what's ultimately going to end up as a community interest company. Other than that, what do I do? That's taken up pretty much all of my life at the moment. Other than at the beginning of lockdown, one of my friends injured himself with a chainsaw, so I had to cover for him in my old profession on the trees for summer on and off. So that's pretty much what I do. You know, I've not been keeping up with my hobbies. I've not had the time, other than being in the workshop and turning, which I do love.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, so let's have a little look at your YouTube channel. So, guys, Dai is currently on, I think he's on 86 subscribers at the moment. Yeah, it's on 86. I'm sure we can get him close to or over 100. I mean, this is what this is all about, guys, the pre-URL, getting people like Dai over that first milestone. So you've got 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 videos on there, mainly wood turning. Yeah. So is that the kind, I mean, is that what you're more into, the wood turning side of things?
I love it. And I've only been turning a year. In fact, about a fortnight ago. I took to it pretty quick because I have done a lot of other woodwork-based craft and other crafts that use edge tools. And once you get your head around edge presentation, it kind of, it's transferable skill. As for the channel, and as for me personally, I love every craft. I say every craft, I'm always picking up a new one. I'm always wanting to, well, I want to have a go at that. I'm going to do something like that. And I learn how to do it. And the channel, we need to show the breadth of that, because what we're wanting to do is encourage people to take up craft, and we don't want to just catch one group. We want it to be inclusive. And say someone's stuck out of work and they don't like wood turning, well, I want to teach them something else. Do they want to learn leatherwork? Do they want to learn how to spin wool? So that's kind of the idea, that at the moment, because we're conscious of how few videos we've got, we're testing the water. We're trying a few different things, and we're trying to be a bit comical in some places and light-hearted. That plays better for me, to be honest. I'd rather be light-hearted than serious. But there is a serious factor to it. So we're just exploring, and we're putting up video. We're trying to get into a routine so that when lockdowns ends and we're back at business meetings and doing markets, that we've got something there, and that we can, more importantly, that we've got into the habit of the routine of regular posting, and then it won't be as hard work to keep up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What I've done is, I think someone just asked for a link to your channel, so I'll put the channel, your channel, in the chat. So, guys, let's get Dai over that 100. Okay, so how long have you been wood turning?
I bought this Coronet Herald in the last week of November last year. I actually drove up to the factory, the record factory, and had a chat with the guy there, had a look at a couple of lathes. Took my dad, who's an engineer, to get his perspective on, potential problems and quality and all of that. And he walked through the door and he slapped his hand straight on the Coronet and he said, "It's that one." And so since then, I'm dyspraxic, which is a developmental learning disorder, and it means that particularly with things that involve dexterity, there's a steep learning curve for me. And because I know that at 40 years old, I dropped myself in the deep end. And from the last week in November until the first week of March, I spent 8 hours a day on the lathe. And I'm hoping it shows. It hasn't showed in me one live, because I just shot everything off the lathe because I was nervous. But it's like, I have to put in that time, otherwise I'm never going to get there, And I absolutely love it. It's more than any other craft I've done, other than perhaps spinning wool. Maybe it's something about spinning objects, but other than that, it's the only thing where time completely ceases to make sense or exist.
Oh yeah, sorry about it.
For that first week I got the lathe, I regularly looked at the clock and it was 6 a.m. and I've just been turning all night, and I thought, go to bed, Dai.
It's got me in trouble so many times, not realising, you go into that trance of wood turning, and then I'm in trouble because I haven't seen the wife for hours, and she needs feeding. So we had the question in the chat from Lindsay Gardner. So pre-URL means pre-100 subscribers. So someone that's got less than 100 subscribers, they can't upload videos over, I think it's 15 minutes, is it? Something like that. And things like that. So you have to get over 100, then you get your custom URL. So then you can start sharing your channel. So that's just for Lindsay. We had another one as well.
I'm glad you asked that, Lindsay, because I wasn't 100% sure either.
Okay. I can't see the other question. I'm sorry. I do apologise. Okay, so moving on. So what got you into woodworking in the beginning? Funnily enough,
that's another kind of the key motivators to me. At my lowest, what had happened is I'd lost a great uncle who was an avid turner and master craftsman, really. and he'd left me a lot of tools. And 18 months previous to that, my father had lost a close friend of his, and he died with no will, and I was left having to clear his house out. Basically, I ended up with a lot of his tools, and what's now my workshop was literally floor to ceiling with an 8-inch corridor down the middle. And I got so angry not having all these tools that were getting rustier and rustier, and not being able to do anything. So I lost my best friend November of 2016, and we'd had similar upbringing, similar backgrounds, and when he passed, it was a short, sharp shock. And I decided, right, through all of the pain I was in at the time with health issues after some surgery, I thought, start a little at a time, and just day by day, every day I'd go in and I'd clean one tool, and until I'd got a box of tools, and then I'd put them into storage in the shed until I'd got space to move in the garage. And then I emptied the garage of the things that didn't need to be there, and brought all the tools back, and then came building walls and cabinets and a bench and the like. And actually, this I don't know if guys can see at the back here, this is a shelf at one end and a bench at the other. It's a shelf with a cabinet under it. And when I first started working in here, I had to have something to put a vice on, and I was struggling after some surgery, and I'll not go into any more detail, but I was struggling sitting. So I made this little workbench area, and it got me going. And I noticed the other day, scrawled in pencil just here, from back in 2016, it says, "Making a Better Life." And that was it, because I'd realised at that point that I was starting to feel better already, because I was making stuff. And at the end of the day, I'd not been unproductive dealing with my pain. I'd got X, Y, or Z to show for it, and it's like, and everything I've done since has just got gradually better and better. And that experience for me is part of one of the things that we want to share as part of Making a Better Life. That really, and there's a lot of guys in the comments, and Mark, for instance, that you can see how much making stuff's changing their lives. And
yeah,
I just want to push that and grow that.
Well, this is what I'd like to go on to next, if it's okay. More about what making it a better life is, as far as it's a charity, and what you hope to achieve by what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know it's in the early stages.
Yeah,
and I know you do a reach out anyway, an outreach. But yeah, let's tell us a little bit more about this, because it's fascinating.
From kind of a structure perspective, at the minute, like I say, an informal organisation, that's so we can access funding. But ultimately, what we want is a business, a community business, and not for profit. And we want to take clients referred from wherever that are out of work or struggling with mental illness, and that are losing the motivation. And we want to break that cycle by engaging people in craft. And then during informal kind of workshops, we want to let them explore with that craft how it can positively affect you. Like I experienced myself, and in talking to people since my recovery, I'm surprised there's so many other people that turn to craft and come out the other side. And we just want something to, I'm specifically motivated by people out of work, because when I was unemployed, there was nothing. There were courses for people that were struggling with their English or needed help with a CV or something, but for a capable, competent person that's health had just taken the career away, all I got to turn to was my craft to occupy my time. And I suddenly found, I was struggling to buy a ball of pound shop wool to do a bit of knitting, and I don't want anyone else stuck there. I want to make sure that anyone that I can help, by just getting them some supplies or giving them the workshops, bringing them into the workshop space so they've got equipment that they're not going to be able to afford, maybe encouraging some people into developing their own craft businesses. Like I say, we're still learning, and it's organic. It's still finding its route, but ultimate goals and aims are keep people occupied, motivated, and fulfilled with craft, so that they don't spiral down and they can get off benefits back into employment and on with their lives.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to be reaching out to those people that can't work, through illness or other things. Ideally, you need somewhere where you can chuck a load of tools in and people that know how to use those tools safely and say, right, coming in, have a go at this.
That's going to be part of the thing that I'm going to enjoy about it, and that's going to come into the YouTube channel as well, is building relationships with this community, because I can't teach everybody, so I'm going to want people coming in and ultimately starting out, once we have got a location to hold courses and events, we're going to need people willing to give a bit of time and hold courses and all.
Funny you should say that, because Lindsay Gardner has asked, where are you based?
Yeah, we're based in Sheffield, Lindsay. We're North Sheffield, which means we've kind of got Barnsley close by and Doncaster. That's kind of the area we're going to be ultimately looking at when we're taking on clients. But as far as teachers coming in and things, or people that, when the markets are up and running again, I'm one man, I can only make so much stock. I've got my mother does things for us. I've got a friend that makes little items of jewellery. I've got one of the one guy I'm currently supporting, because it's pretty much, it's almost coming out of my pocket at the minute. He's an ex-Coldstream Guard, came back from Afghanistan and hit the drugs, just went down the spiral. He'd got his act together somewhat before I met him. We actually met on another community outreach. If you look in the videos, there's one called The Promised Land, and in fact he's probably on that video. Really nice lad, and he ultimately wants to get back into tattooing, because he used to be a tattoo artist. So I've got him making jewellery at the minute. Don't tell him, I've got him some woodworking tools for Christmas. We were building him up that his items become more of greater value, so sell and earn him more money. So eventually we can then buy him his tattoo kit and get him recertified. So
brilliant.
That's kind of how I want to work with people in the future.
Yeah, cool. So just to let you know, you're on 95 subscribers, so only 5 away. I looked a minute ago and there's like 50 people watching. So let's get a few questions out. So why YouTube? What made you upload to YouTube, and put the videos up there?
I could rattle off a few YouTubers, bigger guys, that were there right at the start when I was recovering, because I can't remember who was first, but I came into the workshop and I thought, right, some of these tools are quite precious, restoring them. So I reached out to YouTube. I read a few articles first, but I'm dyslexic, so that took time. Like, watch a YouTube video, learn how to do it. And I then, as I was spending more and more time in the workshop, I needed company, and I can't stand the radio. It's just advert after advert. And so I turned to YouTube, and for ages I wouldn't subscribe to anyone. I wanted to look for the video I wanted there and then. And then I did subscribe to a couple of people like Paul Sellers, Worth the Effort Turning, and all of a sudden I started thinking, what, these guys are giving me a heck of a lot for nothing, and it really be hypocritical of me, to tell people about the goals of our charity and not want to give back to a community that's helped me so much. So I don't really like being in front of the camera, although people tell me I look relaxed. But it's a way to give. It's a way to give back, and it's an outreach. Not only whilst we need help, whilst we're small, but it's an outreach for people that like I was when I was struggling, not leaving the house, and I might be their only company. There might be someone in the chat, someone watching that's not commented, that's really struggling, and I want to know them that 2016 I was you, and I was, well, like I said, I lost my best friend, and I was probably on the same path. And now I've turned it around, and I'm where we are now. And blow me, I'm going to keep going until we get where we can and stop getting stuff. I'm sorry, I'm getting excellent. Okay.
No. It's your time, and I really, I'm impressed with your story so far of what you're doing. I just wish the COVID was over so I could come up and visit you guys. So maybe bring you some goodies up. So is there anyone that really inspires you to do this?
This is in YouTube or the thing in a whole?
Anyone.
As an inspiration, my grandfather, who's long since passed, remains my inspiration. He was just a good man and loved by all. And, it was reflected at his funeral when there were people in the road outside the church. He was just a good man that had always helped people. He used to pull his car up at bus stops, say, anyone going the route of the 97, get in. I just want to be as good as he would, and that's my inspiration to not slide by. Other inspirations. I'm not one for having idols, but there's an image that's a big inspiration to me. And if people want to Google it, it's a tool cabinet by H.O. Studley. And it's just a tool cabinet, but I think he was a piano maker in the States. And this cabinet is an absolute masterpiece of art and craftsmanship. And the only thing that gets you that good is time and dedication. And I think from the first time I saw that, there hasn't been a day go past where I've thought, I'm never going to get any better unless I keep trying, and just carried on. That is inspiration, that image.
Brilliant. So we're 4 away from 100, guys. So if you don't mind, let's get this shared out. Let's get Dai over that 100. It'd be brilliant if we could do this tonight. We got a question. I did see it pop up a minute ago from Mike Yu, retired Ilminster. He was asking, you ever try and get involved in men's sheds?
Funny you should say that, Mike. I had made contact with somebody who was in a men's shed group, and they were having to travel 12 miles to it, and they were in talks with trying to find a location to start one nearer, but they needed somebody with equipment experience and everything. But we lost contact, so that is on my list of things to get back in touch with, because we do need, at this stage, we need workspace where we could perhaps rent cheap or free whilst we run a few courses, just to bring in revenue to get us started. Because literally at the minute, I made a dedication to this, and everything I've earned from covering for my friend has gone into the charity. And everything I've saved is going into it. I don't mind, and I don't mind if I never see any of that back. It's for me, it's like, it's that final push thing. This is it. I've finally, after years of not knowing what I want to do, found exactly what I want to do. So yeah, I forgot what
I'll just that's all right. I'll just apologise there for a sec. My laptop battery just, I think, vented or something. There's a poof of smoke come outside of my laptop. Wow. That's weird. Woo! Wow. Oh, I hope not. It's still going, so we're going to still go. As long as it stays until the end of this, then we're all right. Okay, next question. How much time do you spend in that workshop?
I live in here.
Yeah.
I live in here. I get up in the morning, I make a coffee, do your normal morning routine. and then I come and sit down in here with my coffee and put YouTube on, and then I work for a bit, and then I put YouTube back on, and then it's on in the background. And there's constant jobs. I mean, if I'm not in the garden, I'm in here at the minute, and I won't have it any other way, to be honest. It's my man cave as well as a workshop, and that transition from man cave to trying to think of it as a professional workshop is, I'm hitting obstacles, and most of them are that my storeroom is absolutely chock-a-block full of car boot stuff that I haven't been able to sell. So the minute I'm tripping over everything constantly.
So do you sell any of the stuff that you make in there?
We've got a very few items up on Etsy at the minute. We're just testing the water whilst we get our heads around how to use the shops and everything. And we nearly made a mistake, and we got the button wrong for international shipping. So luckily the item we just stole to the States didn't weigh very much, because that could have been disastrous. But with we've got stuff on Etsy, and normally we go to markets. We've not done many, but in fact we've got to renew as public liability insurance. But I'm glad you reminded me of that. Markets is going to be our other outlet. Ultimately, when we can afford to open a website, we'll have stuff for sale on the website. And once we can go and socialise a bit more, I'm going to try and do a bit of networking with some of the local shops. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. It's right. I'm just worried about this laptop.
Yeah, mate, I hope it's not me jinxing stuff, because I've had such a bad run that out of everything I've ordered since lockdown, I think 2 or 3 things have been all right, and through nobody's fault, I've just got the one that's been dropped. Or the microphone I bought for doing lives, it got lost by DHL for a month, and then arrived broken at the same time as the replacement. I just don't understand it. But sorry, I'm waffling, mate.
No. So, camera equipment, what are you using at the moment?
You're currently on the best one, which is my old DSLR, which is a Canon EOS. And after having bought the webcams that Pete suggested, Pete Twisted Trees, which are just an eBay special, and they're fine, to be honest, I then discovered that I can use the Canon without having to buy a cam link, which is great. It's just I've got my head around OBS, but processing anything like that that's got lots of layers and menus, it's not good for a dyslexic head. So it takes me a bit of time. I need to strip OBS back down and completely rebuild it. But currently, 3 webcams and the Canon.
Okay, so Maker Central. Will you be going to Maker Central next year?
Absolutely. If I'll sell a kidney if I have to. I want to know who's going to what campsite, because I will be camping. That's pretty much the only option I can afford. But me and my mate went last year. Was our first one. One of my childhood mates, right? And it was really nice to have a bit of a catch up and reminisce. And all whilst essentially were brilliant. And actually, I bought a standard 4.5 plane whilst I'm there. They very quickly became my go-to planes. Pretty much every day I reach
think it's froze.
Back to make central. I can see me moving. But
right, can you guys? Right, we lost you there for a second. You froze.
Am I back?
You're back. That's okay. So I think I'm taking the caravan to Maker Central next year. So I'll let you know where I'm staying. And there's a few others I think that are going to be going up there. I think Steve SK Crafts. I think he's camping. Maybe I don't know. Okay. So, what other platforms are you on? I know you're on Facebook, Instagram.
We're looking at. I saw your little videos on TikTok, and it's got me thinking. We really ought to be pursuing that. And I like being daft as well. So, to be fair, it looks like it might be a platform for me. And it's the biggest, so that's something to explore. I've been thinking in this period, whilst I get used to live streaming, I was toying with something like Twitch, where I don't really care if anyone's watching, but I could just do a really long stream and forget the cameras are on and just get not have to really chat with anyone, and just get used to it so that I can not go at it like a bull in a china shop and rip things off the lathe.
That's brilliant. So that's it, really. That's it. That's your invasion done. Just before we go, let's have a little look. Let's see what you're on at the moment. I'm just going to refresh the screen. So you are 2 away from 100, which is great. Bear in mind, it will fluctuate. So if it goes over 100 tonight, it will go back down and it will come up again. So don't worry about it. It's just part of it, And we have currently got 30 odd people watching there, 37. So before we go, have you got a shout out? And I'll try and remember to pop it in the chat.
Not so much a shout out. I mean, we've got lots that we're planning that's coming up on the channel. I'd like to just thank you guys, to be honest. You, Wayne, Andy, Dale, Mark, I identify with you a lot, mate, and it helps me a lot, more than you'll know. Emma's been a great inspiration. She's actually, when I joined our local wood turning club, she's the first person that I saw demo. Well, the only person, because we then got closed down. But yeah, you guys, it's I nearly swore then. It's a great community. It really is.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for that. And listen, thanks to everyone in the chat tonight. Thanks for getting Dai 2 away from 100 subscribers. That's what it's all about. So, and that's it. Right, I'm going to knock it on the head. I'm going to cool this laptop down. I'm going to see why there's a puff of smoke just come out the side of it. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
Cheers, Rich. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.